With an acting career spanning 7 decades and a life full of success, my good friend William Shatner has certainly lived long and he's prospered. He's an Emmy Award-winning actor, author, director, screenwriter, singer, just about everything in between. Best known, of course, for his performance as Star Trek's Captain Kirk, William Shatner is an icon throughout the galaxies. The one and only William Shatner joins us now. I'm so happy to see you in some capacity anyway. So you have been acting for over 70 years now. When you look back on this incredible, legendary career, what are some of the most memorable moments?
You know, I believe that we're going to talk about it later, but you and I, backstage in a one-man show that I was doing on Broadway, and I was ill.
Go ahead, tell the story. Tell the story.
Shall I tell the story?
Yeah, I'm going to hear it. All right.
So I had rewritten a one-man show that I had toured Australia and Canada with. I'd rewritten it. I've been asked to go to Broadway, so I rewrote it for a variety of reasons. Now, prior to, and I hadn't rehearsed it. Opening night is tomorrow, and tonight I'm eating a hamburger because I didn't want to eat fish like everybody else was because I wanted to protect myself. Next day, I was so ill I couldn't believe it. I couldn't leave the toilet. I was hugging onto them, but I had to make opening night. You came and found that my kidneys were failing, and you rushed me to the hospital. Then I rushed back to opening night, and I'm looking at the curtain going up, and I'm thinking, what I've got to think about is that this is part of my journey, and this is historical. I'm facing a Broadway audience on opening night in a one-man show. On I go. Halfway through, I got to go to the toilet.
Ooh.
And I say, there's been a technical difficulty. I'll be right back. I run upstairs. I do everything I have to do. I come back, and I finished the show and got great notices. But if it hadn't been for you, I might have died, I think, right? My kidneys were shutting down.
There we are, actually celebrating after you got through the ceremony.
Well, you're looking at me as though I'm half dead. You know, you got that doctor's look there in that picture. Oh my God, look, you're breathing.
So, how you been holding up over the past year?
Great, Dr. Oz. What about yourself?
I'm doing well. I've been able to connect with some friends again, which I know you and I are going to talk about. Right? But you actually reached your 90th birthday, which you celebrated very recently. How was it?
It was fantastic. My family put together a film of many of the outstanding occasions and friends who said hello and wished me well. It was so meaningful. It was such an act of love that it brought tears to my eyes quite constantly. And I learned a small truth. You see old people crying and you think, oh, well, they've lost their control of their emotions. I think, certainly in my case, it was the distillation of this beauty of love that brought tears to my eyes. It had nothing to do with age, had everything to do with gratitude.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And it would make sense, right? Like you distill alcohol, it gets purer, it's also more potent. So at 90, you're still one of the most active people I know, period. Share with us the trick to staying so healthy, so vital, even as you age.
Well, of course I'm asked that, and I don't have an answer. What I'm doing, like with you, I'm here on your show in order to promote things that I'm doing, this movie, and I'm just filled with enthusiasm. Whether it's riding a Pedigo bike that I saw you on, or whether it's doing a podcast or a hit show on the History Channel, The Unexplained, or doing this movie that I've done. It's just one creative thing after another, and it's filled with joy. And maybe that's it. You look for joy. You should be looking for joy anywhere, actually, whether it's a hot bath or a good friend or a piece of cheese. It's there's joy everywhere if you can look for it.
A piece of cheese. So, well, anyway, there are some challenges.
Hey, I'm not kidding. A great piece of cheese is very rare.
I know. So for the first time in 35 years, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to hold your horse show. And I know that's a real, I know you love horses and you ride all the time. This is an iconic event you've created.
That's create. That's absolutely right. The Hollywood Charity Horse Show, which has not been able to be put on last year, and now I've had to make a decision this year. And these wonderful guys who help fund it, TBK Productions, Priceline.com, and Priceline and Bank of California, have all given me money despite the fact that I had to cancel it last year. And this October is the next one. I'm canceling this one. They've continued to give me funds in order to give to the children and the veterans. And horseshow.org is where where we're located. And giving to charity in these terrible moments is even more important than it was before this happened. And I know funds are low, and I know people are concerned about other things, but also we've got to be concerned about people who are more needy than us. So I urge you to give to the charity of your choice. And your choice happens to be the Hollywood Charity Horse Show, which everything goes to the kids and veterans. Horseshow.org is where you'll find us.
God bless you. So as we get older, we lose friends. And the last time you were on the show, you spoke about losing your friend, Leonard Nimoy. Recently, you lost another close friend, Christopher Plummer. The pandemic's hit a lot of folks. It's kept a lot of us isolated. What's your advice to anyone watching right now who feels out of touch with those they cared the most about?
Well, and then another one, Kevin Burns, who's the progenitor of so many shows on television on the History Channel, and Unexplained is my show. It was his show, a great friend. Grief is a terrible thing. And we grieve all the time. We grieve emerging from the womb, and we grieve being thrust away from our mother's milk, and then school, and then jobs, and then we grieve all the time. And grieving is a process. And, I think it takes about a year, and you go through this thing, I don't want to live, and all those stages of grief. But eventually grief evolves into, I remember this beautiful guy or girl, and the joy they brought, and the things we had, and the distillation of all that, it becomes foremost as against the heavy burden of grief. So there is light at the end of the tunnel in everything.
All right, up next, the legendary William Shatner opens up about his new film and why he says he will not retire until he's dead. That was a clip from the new wonderful movie Senior Moment, starring William Shatner, Gene Smart, and Christopher Lloyd. We're back with my good friend William Shatner. Bill, it's been a while. I actually sat back and watched a film like this. It was fun. It's about a man finding love, coming to terms with his senior age. Wasn't making fun of anybody. So what should people know about it?
Well, A Senior Moment is a love story, but it's a real love story. This guy was a race car driver and loved to drive fast cars. And as you can see, he's arrested by the police, and they take his license away from him. And when you take an older person's license away, their means of conveyance, you take away their life. I mean, it's a huge decision, especially a man as vital as this. So now he doesn't know what to do with himself, and he has to discover a new life and new loves, and that's what Gene Smart and Christopher Lloyd are part of, discovering new things even at an older age. It's a love story, and it's been called a lovely movie. I love that terminology.
Exactly what it is. I do want to go back and push you on this issue of whether you'll ever retire. Because you've said you'll retire, sure, but you're going to do it when you're dead. What is it you love so much about your work? What do you recommend everybody else out there was thinking, should I hang it up or not?
No, well, I read about these guys. They're in a business, and then they have a dinner, and they're given a gold watch. Thank you very much. And the guy says, I'm so glad I'm retiring. What's he retiring to? If he had something he really liked to do, why didn't he do it? So you retire to a rocking chair, and and then you wither away. So I don't know what you're retiring to, but I'm having a joyful time. I'm having a great time. I'm more creative now in this pandemic thing than I ever have been. I mean, what I'm doing now is making albums that are going to be fantastic. Love, Death, and Horses is the name I've given the new album that we've created for this summer. The Unexplained is a big hit on the History Channel. I've just done something called Storyfile, which is a 3D representation of me. I've spent 5 days in front of a camera doing what I'm doing with you. It's been in artificial intelligence, and they're going to process it, and you're going to be able to press a button, ask me a question, and the AI will answer. It's forever. It's called Storyfile. I mean, incredible.
Well, let me use that as a jumping point, 'cause let me ask you a question here, because now that the COVID vaccines are being distributed, and you've gotten vaccinated, I saw, right?
Yeah, twice, yeah.
So
I got the Moderna twice, yeah.
Right. So it's possible to see an eventual end to this pandemic. You and I, if we were next to each other, wouldn't have to wear masks. So what are you looking forward to the most as things get back to normal?
Well, you know, the obvious things of hugging your family and children and their kids, grandkids that have been in front of a computer for a year. I mean, there's a mental thing you got to think about. But for me, the freedom, I'm doing pretty much what I would do. I've had the good fortune of being able to move around a house. I've had the good fortune of being able to drive off half an hour from my home and get on more than one horse. I've been able to see friends like you on Zoom or whatever means you do. Yeah. You're in close connection with everybody. It's fantastic. I'm not sure that it isn't better than having dinner.
Well, on that point, throughout the pandemic, you tweeted lockdown updates from Captain Kirk. So here's one of my favorites, right? Captain's Log, Star Day 2 of self-imposed isolation. Emissaries Macchiato and Espresso, your two dogs, have been exploring a new territory called Underbed, bestowing upon me tributes of missing socks. God bless the little dogs.
I know.
So what would Captain Kirk's message be once the pandemic eventually passes?
Captain's Log, 57, 67, 59, 32, 23, and 45. Get a life. But I mean, get a life. Get the joy of life. Life can be joyful if you just look for it. Get there. Get a life.
Beautifully stated. That's why I love you. God bless you for being here. The new movie, Senior Moment, is out now in select theaters and on demand. Check it out. It is worth the investment. Goodbye, my friend.
Bye-bye, my friend.